I have 7 o'clock. Is everyone ready to go? So I'm going to read this. This is just a script. Everyone can hear me, I hope. It's the script for remotely conducted meetings. So as a preliminary matter, this is Peter Collins. I'm the chair of the Lake Quinsigamond Commission. Please permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. So, Mr. Nelson.
Affirmative.
There you go. You can say yes if you want. Mr. Polito.
Here.
Mr. Pica. Oh, you lost Mike? He was here. His phone's still hooked up. Mr. Nickerson.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, welcome aboard. And I have another number, an 857 number.
Yeah, this is Matt DeAndre, Captain, Worcester Police.
Oh, hey, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Dickens, I saw you joined. You're here? Barbara Kickham?
I'm here.
She's here, but I don't. Here. All right, thank you. Jacqueline Burmeister?
I'm here.
Okay. And our trusting intern, who is on the agenda. So, Barbara, can you remind me of our intern's name? I apologize. We have not met yet.
She's is Gia Coleman. I don't know if she's on. Is Gia on?
Gia, are you on yet? Okay.
I told her she's not speaking till next month. Angela asked we move her to the end of June because of time.
Okay, good enough. I think Angela can only record. Angela, are you on? Jessica?
I'm here.
Okay, are you recording this or is?
Somebody else is, but it is recording now.
It is recording, okay.
Yes, the record's up in the corner. Do you see it on the screen?
Oh, yes, okay.
Yep.
Thank you, sorry. Perfect, all right. We got that that part done. Anticipated space, we've done that, I'll say. So, all right, good evening. The open meeting of the Lake Quinsigamond Commission is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with the agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely as long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature a public comment. For this meeting of the Lake Quinsigamond Commission is convening by both telephone and Google Meet, as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join in. For For Google Meet, please note that this meeting is being recorded and that attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and that take care not to screen share your computer unless asked by the chairperson or the staff person. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. Meeting business ground rules. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda, but before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. The chair will introduce each board member or staff member who has a lead role for this particular item or guest speaker associated with this item on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members first and then to staff members, inviting each by name to provide any comment or questions. I will then call upon the members to offer motions and then for a second. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Remember that unless a document is being shared, your camera feed is triggered by your speaking or background noise. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For others attending that are expected to present, please hold until your name is called to present. Please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. Remember that unless a document is being shared, your camera feed is triggered by your speaking or background noise. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. After your presentation, members of the board committee will be given the opportunity to ask questions. For items of public comment, which we're not having, but I'm going to read it anyway, after members have spoken, the chair will afford public comments as follows. The chair will first ask members of the public who will speak to identify their names and addresses only. Once the chair has a list of all public commentators, I will call on each by name and afford 3 minutes for any comments. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in colloquy with other members, please do so through the chair. That's the same as every meeting. Taking care to identify yourself. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. So does everyone understand that? Perfect. All right. So moving on to the item on the agenda. So approval of the meeting minutes. Has everyone had a chance to read the meeting minutes from our February meeting?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to do a roll call. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Okay, thank you. So, Bill, what's your vote?
Approve.
Approve. Ken?
Yes. Approve.
Okay. Mike Pica? Okay, Mike's having a hard time unmuting here, I think. Mike, do you approve the minutes? All right, I'll come back to Mike. Mr. Nickerson?
So because I wasn't at the meeting, am I allowed to vote on it, or
Oh, no, you're right. Okay, sorry.
I would have?
And the same with, all right, the same with Matt. All right. And I vote yes. And is Mike, have you back on the phone yet? All right. Jessica, will that be enough to, I think we have a majority of the members present that can vote.
Mr. Chairman, it's Angela Snell. That's fine.
That's fine. Thank you. All right. Moving right along. Okay, so you approve bills. Do we have any bills that we paid or do we need to approve? Angela or Ken, do we have any on it?
We do not have any bills to present tonight. I'm sorry we didn't prepare that.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes it a little bit easier. Okay. We're going to move on to commissioners' reports. I will start this. So, yeah, the lake is back up and as busy as I've ever seen at this time of year. Some of that's because I got my boat in a little bit earlier than I typically do, but it's still been kind of summer activity level here at on Lake Quinsigamond. So that's all good, but it does present safety issues. I've seen a lot more kayaks, a lot more paddle boards, a lot more of those types of vessels, and a lot more jet skis. So I would caution everybody at home, because this is one thing I'm noticing constantly, because I live kind of in the path from the big lake to the Oak Island ramp, and there's a lot of craft that are out past dark, or out past the darkest levels that they should be at, especially kayaks and paddle boards, canoes, those types of things. And you know, last night I saw a jet ski, which wasn't just going back to the ramp. They were actually circling around Flint Pond, and it was pitch black. So, you know, I would caution anyone who's watching this to please make sure that you allot for the time that's going to take you to get back to wherever you launch from, so that you are not out there at night. A kayak on the water at night, a paddle board on the water at night, and a jet ski on the water at night. Anything that's not lit is going to be invisible, truly invisible to any boater that's coming around in a motorboat. So there's no headlights on boats to speak of. In fact, even if you have dock lights, you're not supposed to have those things on when you're underway in a normal fashion. So, you know, if you're that kind of craft, you're going to be invisible, and you're in grave danger of being run over by a boat or something. So please be careful of that. And another quick note, and I'm not, this came to my attention. There has been a dispute or a complaint about a particular dock on Fifth Ave that it's encroaching on the other side. I went and took a look at the dock. I have not approached the neighbor yet, so I'm going to plan on doing that. I just want to remind everybody with the docks is that please, when you're placing your dock, a couple of things you have to bear in mind. One is you do not want to place your dock in such a manner, because some of the lots, as in Fifth Ave, are extremely tight. They're close together. I think these lots are probably 30 feet wide, so there's not a lot of room in there, a lot of wiggle room for boats and everything else on there. So I would ask that you please, you know, be conscious of your neighbors when you're doing that. And also, the rules are specific with docks, is that you, when you have a dock and you've got a permit for that dock, if you make any changes to the size of the dock in a significant way, or the configuration of the dock in a significant way, you need to notify the Lake Commission. So it needs to be done. You need to kind of apply for that and say, I'm going to do this, or I want to do this. And, you know, it's basically kind of like a new dock application. So, you know, you're supposed to be doing that. The only thing that we can go by when we go and look at a dock that you know, if there's any concern with the dock, is the drawing that we have at, you know, in our records at the police station. So if it's anything different than that drawing, there's you know, that's going to be an issue. So remember that if you decide to expand your dock, and you know, it's all about your neighbors. So keep you know, bear that in mind. And the other thing I'll say with this too is that, you know, there really isn't anything that we have to say, well, you know, his dock is in my view. I don't like seeing them sitting on the dock. You know, that's not really a concern for the Lake Commission per se. If the dock is, you know, in conformance with what the dock's supposed to be, then, you know, you're liable to see someone. You're liable to see your neighbor on your dock. I can see my neighbors on my dock. I got a pretty wide lot, but still, you know, they're out there. So I've been blessed with good neighbors. I'm just saying that in case they're watching. And, you know, I've been fortunate in that regard. But, you know, we're not going to, you know, go after a neighbor because you can see them out there and you know, they're blocking your view, or their boat's blocking your view. So please bear that in mind. And we'll move on from that. And I guess, you know, for me, I think that's all because I got a bunch of stuff for downstream anyway. So that's my 2 cents worth. If there's any comments or questions with the reports, or let me poll the members. I mean, do you want to hold off questioning until we're done with all the reports, or do you want to pause in between each one to ask a question if someone says something? Mr. Nelson, what are your thoughts on that?
I believe it probably would be better to ask the questions right as soon as the presentation of each subject is made. Otherwise, we might forget some details.
Okay. Mr. Polito?
I agree with that.
Okay. Mr. Pica? He's still not back on the thing. Mr. Nickerson, what do you think?
I agree. I think that's a good idea.
Same thing? Matt?
Same thing.
Same thing? Okay. So, does anyone have any questions? Matt, do you have any questions or comments? Yes, no? Okay. Jonathan, any questions or comments?
No.
Okay. Ken, questions or comments?
No.
No? And Bill, any questions, man?
Left on there. I'm unmuted.
Yeah.
I think just 3 comments. The first is probably everybody's aware. There's no rowing, either club or school. That essentially, due to the COVID-19, has ended. Maybe singles will be starting up in the next week or so for privately owned boats, but that's it in terms of rowing. Second comment, Grafton finances are very unsettled again due to the COVID-19. Most discussions that I have been having in terms of treating the lake haven't been answered because the more important finances, the town's still trying to figure its way through all the changes. And I guess my third comment is on what Peter was talking about with boats out there at night. I know for all our rowing boats, we have to have lights on them, you know, red and green and the white one in the center. And so I'm just wondering if these people are out there at night, do they have lights on? Aren't they required to have them?
I can answer that as one, no, the ones that I was talking about do not have lights on them. 2, jet skis by statute aren't allowed to be out at night, and or rowboats or kayaks or paddle boards, and you know, some of it's common sense, which isn't common, I guess, but so that's what you know, the answer to that. So yes, you're required to have lights on it, but even if you're a kayak and you have lights, you're still not supposed to be out there, and a jet ski is still not supposed to be out there. So it's a crazy dangerous thing to do. All right, so on to the next. Mr. Piker, you got voice? All right, apparently not.
Maybe help him with the mute. Mike, if you toggle along the bottom, your cursor.
It's on the phone, Barbara.
Oh, okay.
If you hit If you hit *6, I believe that unmutes you when you're on the phone. *6.
Oh,
That sounds good.
*6. Hello?
Yep, you're on, Mike. We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, well, I've done this. I did this a few times, but is it my turn to speak?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Your report.
We'll move along here. Waterfowl issues. In terms of the eagles, I have 2 eaglets that have been seen and videotaped, so if that's a reality. It's nice to see, that there's another group of eagles being hatched on the lake. Number 2, there's a lot of Canada geese, and they, and as people know, if they're on their lawns, they defecate everywhere, and it's really dismaying just how much fecal matter they generate. Moving along, there's a lot of boating that's been going on in the last week or two. Basically, my observation is there's little to no mask being worn by the people in the boats. So that's just where it's at. And when I say people in boats, we're talking about pontoon boats that may have 8 or 10 people, runabouts that may have 5 to 7 people. They're rafting together, and nobody has any masks. So that's just one of the things that's going on. Half Moon Cove, which I'm quite familiar with, there's Eurasian milfoil growing right to the surface of the water now. So that's an issue that I think we're going to have to deal with over the course of time, and that is Eurasian milfoil is not just in the Half Moon Cove, but I've seen it around the lake. It's got to be addressed at some point because it's kind of choking the lake in terms of the quality of life that people would want to swim and fish and the like. But that's my comments so far, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mike. Okay, are there any comments about Mike's report? Mr. Nelson?
No.
Okay, thanks, Bill. Matt, do you have any comments on Mike's report? Okay.
No, as far as people not wearing the mask, am I muted? Because it keeps telling me that I'm unmuted, and then somebody mutes me, and then I'm unmuted. So can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, as far as the issue with the masks, I mean, our guys have been out there on the boat. They've been notifying people. Our main thing is education, so we're just trying to educate the people. We've actually given out some masks down there, and that's what we're going to continue to do, just educate as well as in regards to that.
Peter, unmute. Peter, we can't hear you.
*6. I'm learning that.
Unmute, Pete.
Mr. Chair, I think after you speak, you have to hit *6 again because I got muted by someone unbeknownst to me.
I'm back. All right.
Okay.
Can I just interject for a minute?
Sure.
You have to be muted when you're not talking because otherwise it's going to echo through everyone's computers. So that's why you're being muted.
Okay.
*6 if you're on the phone, and everyone else can unmute themselves with the little red button.
All right. Okay. Matt, could you just go over what you said? Did you guys hear that? I didn't hear what he said about the masks.
Am I muted or can you hear me?
We can hear you, Matt.
I can hear you now.
Okay, Mr. Chairman. So our guys have been out there. They've been on the boat. They've been making sure people are doing what they're supposed to be doing. But in regards to the masks, I mean, we have educated people in regards to the pontoon boats and the people that have numerous people on there in regards to the masks. So we've been educating them and telling them to advise them that they should be wearing the mask and to wear masks. As a matter of fact, even our guys have handed out some masks to people that have not had them. So I was just addressing the concern about the masks that was brought up.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Any comments on what the captain has said. Mike Pica.
No further comments, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Ken, any comments?
No.
Thank you. Bill, any comments?
No.
And Jonathan, any comments?
No comments.
Thank you.
Peter, you're muted again.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Polito.
I don't really, the only comment I have for a report is to echo what everybody else has said. The lake is very active. I was pleased to see that there has been a lot of police activity patrolling up and down both Worcester, Shrewsbury, and Environmental, which I think has made some difference in just seeing a few people slowing down. So that would be what I would have to say right now.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Nickerson, would you like to, I guess, introduce yourself? And
Sure.
welcome aboard.
Yeah, thank you for having me. No, my name's Jonathan Nickerson. I'm a resident of Grafton. I actually live in North Grafton. I'm been here for about 6 years. You know, I'm involved in the Grafton Conservation Commission. So as part of that, you know, we obviously try to get people onto the lake board. So definitely happy to be part of it, and can't wait to meet people in person once some of this new normal kicks in. So.
All right, perfect. Thank you. All right. Any comments from Mr. Nickerson? Bill?
No.
Ken?
Oh,
Mike Pica?
No. No.
All right. Matt?
No.
Okay, good. You know, Matt, while you're there, you're up. Do you have a report? Or maybe actually, if you could introduce yourself and kind of let us know a little bit about you. I don't know what kind of gum you chew or anything like that, but you know, whatever you want to share.
No, my name's Matt DeAndre. I'm a captain with the Worcester Police Department. Been on for 20 years. I was in operations, and now I just took over special operations with the retirement of Roger Steele. So, again, I look forward to working with everybody.
Thank you, Captain. Welcome aboard, and we appreciate it. Roger, I said this to you in the email. You got big shoes to fill. He served well at the Lake Commission. So, and we're glad to see it. And also, I want to thank you for the patrols on Lake Quinsigamond and to you know, for making that kind of stuff happen. So it's a welcome thing, and I know the Shrewsbury PD appreciates it, and the help out there. So that's great. So look forward to a good summer.
Yeah, it was needed in the past week and a half. Let it be known.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I think it's going to be needed all summer. Okay.
Yeah,
so,
Roger was one of my good friends. Yeah, I definitely have shoes to fill. But again, like we did with the conversation before, I told you that the Worcester Police boat would be out there, and you'll continue to see it throughout the summer.
perfect. Thank you. And Amanda, I saw that you joined. Do you have a report?
Amanda, you have to unmute.
Star 6 if it's on the phone.
Hi, this isn't Amanda, but it's Gia. I just joined.
Oh, hey, Gia.
Gia
Okay.
Coleman from LQWA. I'm not sure if that was the recent join was me. I'm sorry for being so late.
No worries. We're going to get back to you in just a little bit. So
Okay.
we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, back to mute I go.
Yep. Thank you. All right. So we'll wait till Amanda figures it out. You can come in and just let me know you're live, Amanda. We'll get back. So we'll move on to the next next item on the agenda, which is the budget, which I don't have a firm budget for you this month, and we're gonna work on that. I should have it done in the next week or so. And which kind of brings us to the next point, which is update of the lake management plan. And as far as invasive species treatments, that's part of what we're trying to figure out with the budget and ESS and the and what exactly we're going to treat this year at through Solitude or whoever else. Hopefully someone else will bid. Traditionally, it's only been like one person bidding on the thing. So we're welcome to open to anyone who's qualified to bid on that, and we'll do that. But basically we're at the same point where we were last year in terms of the areas that we can treat. The treatment worked very effectively where we did treat. So we treated the Eurasian milfoil in the Flint Pond area, or anything basically south of Route 20. We were able to treat, and we did a good job eradicating it. So I'm noticing now that there is milfoil in Flint Pond, but not as much as it was last year. And to Michael Pica's point, excuse me, not as much as there is. It doesn't seem to be as dense as it is in Half Moon Cove. And Half Moon Cove is of a concern to me. I'm at a loss of how to address some of this, because we are confined with the permit that we have based on the guidance from Natural Heritage, who does not want us to treat in Half Moon Cove because of what they've identified as a habitat for Vasii. Excuse me. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to work something out and move forward with some kind of a way to address that. So that's basically the bottom line there. We are planning on treating, especially spot treatments, if the sacred lotus should come back up, and anything we need to do for maintenance. So this is the good news about the treatment. We basically nuked them last year in Flint Pond, and now we're kind of in maintenance mode. And it should be a little bit easier to control it this year over on this side of it. So where we treated was effective, and hopefully we can maintain that effectiveness and then move on to address the other spots that are growing and becoming more and more of a problem. It's not just Half Moon; it's also the Cove by Old Faith Road as well. I see a lot of it over there. So that's that. So are there any comments? I'm gonna poll the members again. Any comments about my comment? Amanda?
No.
Okay. Mr. Polito?
No comment.
Captain DeAndre?
No.
Okay. Jonathan?
No comments.
Mr. Pica?
No comment.
Mr. Nelson?
No comments.
All right. Perfect. Thank you. All right. moving right along. The next part of the lake management update is safety buoys, and I'm going to share a couple of things with you. There are two. Well, first of all, there's a couple of buoys that we have in place right now at spots that we've traditionally had buoys that are in need of replacement or repair. The one going into the entrance of Half Moon Cove is my understanding is it's on its last leg. It looks okay, but
that's because I had to repair it, Mr. Chair. But it's the ring on the bottom's gone, and what I did could only best be described as a temporary repair. It really needs to be replaced.
Okay, so we need to replace that one. I'm unaware of any of the other ones that are in dire need of repair, but I do want to. We actually put another buoy at the kind of at the mouth, the north side of the Stringer Dam. I think it was a good place to place a buoy, a no-wake buoy, because there is a significant blind spot coming out of. If you're heading north out of the under the Stringer Dam, I don't think anyone needs to be told you have to go headway speed under the Stringer Dam, because I don't know how else you gotta have a pretty good aim to get under there with up in the air if you're on plane. But I hope no one is reckless enough to do that. I hope that everyone slows down and goes and putts through that thing. But when you come out of there, it's best if you kind of went no wake all the way to the end of that point and then took off, so you can have a clear line of sight on the to the west. So that's good. There's two other places I'd like to propose that we place buoys. I'm going to put up a slide on the screen. I sent out a slide for or an image to people on phone if for that, but so let me do this, and where's my picture here? I thought I had it. All right, hold on. I don't know. I guess I don't. Where'd my picture go? Up here it is. Sorry. Okay, so this picture right here. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this here is an aerial shot of the Route 20 bridge at Flint, Pont. So to the bottom of the picture is the south side of the bridge. To the top of the picture is the north side of the bridge. So you guys can figure out east and west from that. But basically, if you notice this curvature right here is a significant blind spot. There, just allergies. So anyway, coming out of there, this width right here is probably about, I'm going to say 90 feet right there. The bridge itself is 20 feet underneath there. And over here, it's a little bit wider. From here to here is about 400 feet. Now, the issue comes here is that this is the entrance to Flint Pond coming across the thing here. So they come out of Flint Pond and come in here. I can tell you this from experience, jet skis don't stop under this bridge. They don't go headway speed. They literally go through here 30, 40 miles an hour. And they will do that even if you are in a boat under that bridge. And there's very little room in there. So when they come around the corner, basically, if they go through there and you're putting through, they're going to soak you in the boat and endanger everybody's lives there. So this has been going on for a while, and it really needs to be marked. When the old bridge on Route 20 was there, which was over a decade ago, there were signs on the bridge. But when they put the new bridge in, they never put signs back up. I believe that a combination of signs and buoys would be the best alternative. But I think at the very minimum, we should have a no-wake buoy here and a no-wake buoy there. So people, when they come around this corner, because there's no sight, you cannot see the bridge or anyone coming out. So if there's a boat here, you're not going to see them when you come whipping around the corner from there. So That's the issue there, and same with this. It's coming around the corner. You really need to slow down here because there's people coming in and out, and it's very slow. There's also a growing pedestrian traffic. I say pedestrian traffic, and I'm meaning kayaks, paddle boards, canoes, and things like that going under the bridge that have no way of getting out of your way in time if you come whipping around there and don't, and you know, at a speed other than headway. So I'd like to propose putting two buoys, buoy here and a buoy there. So a buoy to the north, essentially where this little square is, and a buoy to the south. And any comments from, I guess, the board members?
This is Bill. We've had this problem in previous years. It's getting worse. So I agree with you. We definitely need to do something.
Okay. Mr. Piker.
Mr. Chair, the lake is getting increasingly used this year. I don't know if it's because people are seeking out boating as a recreational alternative because they're thwarted due to the virus from doing other things. But there's more of a need than ever. Frankly, I think there's an immediate need to buy these buoys as so described. And again, I did get to see the picture you sent me, Chairman Collins. So I would just say it's like a no-brainer. We should do this, and we should do it immediately. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Captain DeAndre? I'm pronouncing
yes, I agree, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Thank you. Ken?
Couple of things. How will they be installed? Who's going to install them?
Great question. By me, I guess, or someone over here, because the police boat cannot get over here.
Okay. And one other thing, I believe the DPW, Town of Shrewsbury DPW, is doing some work on the Route 20 sewer project, and I think part of that project they're going to be doing some work at that bridge, installing a force main under the bridge. In the past, we had talked to the highway department, and this goes back years. They were going to make us some signs attached to the bridge. I was wondering, maybe the DPW could have the signs made and attach them when they're doing some of this work this summer.
That's a good idea. Ken, are they going to do work in a manner that's going to shut traffic off under there?
No. What they're doing is they're going to use one of the bays within the bridge itself.
Right.
Slide another pipe within the same bay. So they may be able to, when they're doing that work, attach something to the abutments like they were going, like what was there in the past.
All right. Thank you. Is that it?
Mr. Chairman, I can ask the DPW director about that, if we can do that.
Do you have yeah, and you have sway with that guy? Or?
I can try.
Good. Thank you, mate. That'd be helpful. Seriously. Bill, we got the cat. Amanda. Oh, we'll come back to you, Amanda.
Okay, there I am.
Oh, there you go.
I agree with everything you've said.
All right. Okay. That's good. And Mr. Nickerson.
I also agree. I think the buoys would be a good deterrent, as well as
Okay, cool. So,
Mr. Chair, can I add a comment? Michael Pike here.
Yep.
I feel like there's a need for buoys as well as signage that could be on the abutments under this Route 20 bridge, because people on the approach to the underpass need to know, never mind by the time they get to the underpass. They need to know a good 100 feet in advance, maybe 150 feet in advance as they approach going underneath this bridge that, hey, slow down. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. I lost the other image I had on here. So I apologize that. Oh, Angela, do we need to vote on this to put those in, or is that just a public safety thing and we can just move to do it?
Yeah, I mean, everybody was in agreement, so it's really.
If need be, Mr. Chair, make a motion that relative to the previous discussion, that we give approval for any help that DPW may do in terms of signage on abutments under the bridge, as well as 2 buoys, one to the north, one to the south of the aforementioned bridge. That's my that's my motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Mr. Nelson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Mr. Polito?
Yes.
Captain DeAndre?
Yes.
Mr. Nickerson?
Yes.
Miss Amory?
Yes.
Did I get everybody? Oh, me. Yes. Okay. So voted. Thank you. The second area that I wanted, and I apologize, I don't have the image has gone away someplace, is the area at Kings Point. So Kings Point has a little bit of a history there, or that area has a little bit of a history, because there was a fatality back in the 70s of a water skier hitting a rower. And that also has a significant obstruction of view, more significant heading south, and but still, depending on which direction you're going to, people tend to hug the shoreline. They kind of go past, where Ken lives, and they go around into the bay there, and kind of wrap around that peninsula at Kings Point and come from that side, which also blocks their view. And the other thing there, the width of that's about 220 feet. So there's no way that a skier can be 150 feet from shore going through there. And people ski through that thing all the time. So, I was out there this afternoon because I wanted to check some water depths. The depths of anywhere from 15 to 30 feet towards the center of that particular point. But I can tell you that, there'd be like 3 boats or 4 boats going through there at 30 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour. And, if you are, because I was in there kind of putting around, I got waked twice because, I was just kind of going slow. So it's an area that people don't even kind of consider slowing down there. And I think it's another area that, especially based on the increase in traffic. And again, there's the pedestrian traffic now that's becoming more and more prevalent out there, which are wake, paddle boards, kayaks, and canoes and whatnot. So those are that's my sad story there. So either one buoy, I know we've talked about this before, but either we put one buoy in the middle there, in between the 2 sides, or we put buoys, a little to the north and a little to the south of it, kind of in the middle. I understand that, and I don't know if Patrick's still on the call, but I understand that, in the fall race, those would be kind of in the way of the course. And, we can make some arrangements like we do in other sections of the lake where we have buoys, that we, move them out for the day, as long as, because the thing's shut down anyway. So we don't have to worry about people making a wake through it. So that's my recommendation with an accommodation for the race course.
Mr. Chair, what are the buoys going to specifically say on them?
No wake. No wake, 6 miles an hour, headway speed.
Mr. Chair, can I speak?
Yep, Ken? Sure.
I know you're concerned about the area, but I just think adding some buoys there is going to add a little bit more to the congestion. There are at times a lot of boats coming through there, and I think if you put these two buoys in the middle of that tight area, I think it's going to cause more harm than good.
Okay. So because they're not going to slow down, or because they are going to slow down, it's going to take longer to get through?
I think it's going to be an obstruction to pass in that area. It's tight enough as it is. I think it's going to force people. I think they're going to be hitting them. I just think they're going to be in the way. I don't see how they're going. I think it's going to be more of a hindrance than good.
So that's why I was thinking of having the buoys out a little north and a little south of the actual mouth, of the actual narrow part. And I apologize for not being able to show you the image, but it's similar to what we saw at Flint Pond, where there's a buoy to the south of the, because you really want it to be no wake when they go through it. So if you have a buoy right in the middle of it, by the time they see it, they're already going to be probably going too fast. So I was thinking about slowing them down, kind of like the bridge before the, before the obstruction.
Mr. Chairman, this is Bill. Can I make a comment?
Sure.
I agree right in the center would probably be in the way, but they serve a better function to slow people down before they get in the center. So having them one north and one south of it rather than the center would be the better location. But what I really want to add is for the previous 10 years of sculling through there in the morning in a single scull, I can't remember the number of times I've been surprised by a powerboat with some guy taking his dog out on the deck, or a water skier, or some other water vehicle coming through and scaring the devil out of me.
Okay, so it is happening. The other thing we could consider is, on one side is state land, so we could ask for permission to put a sign, that's big enough so people can read, and law enforcement can enforce it that you're supposed to be no wake. And we could also seek permission from the family that owns the property on the other side of on actual Kings Point, if we could mount a sign on the wall or on the property there someplace, or put it in the water there. So it's off to the side, but the sign is visible enough where people can see it and they can drive accordingly.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I like that idea a lot better.
Okay. All right. Let's pursue that then, because I agree. I mean, you stick a buoy in there, it's going to be a big buoy. That's one concern. The other concern is it's 30 feet deep, so they're going to tend to drift. Okay. Let me do this. I guess we can. Does anyone want to make a motion that we pursue? I don't know what we're going to pursue. Why don't we do this? Why don't we table this? I'll go back, see if we can work something out with the state and with the abutter, and then come back at the next meeting and we'll come up with something. Is that fair?
Yes.
Everybody? Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
If I can, Mr. Chair, Michael Pike, Vice Chair.
Yep.
I just have concerns that, say we do put the signs in, hopefully we wouldn't have a lot of scofflaws, and I have some concerns that I don't want to burden the police with trying to slow down the traffic. I just hope it isn't an exercise in futility, because people don't want to slow down going through there. I just, it's going to require at the least some education and hopefully public cooperation. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Thank you. I agree. Anyone else have any comments? Mr. Nelson?
No.
Ms. Amory?
No.
Mr. Polito?
No.
Mr. Nickerson?
No.
Captain DeAndre?
No.
All right. Moving on. Okay, so the dragon boat races want to come in. Our next thing on the agenda, they wanted to discuss and vote on the dragon boat races. They want to hold them on September 19th, 2020. As I recall, those guys want to close down the lake for practice too, but that's not on this request. Well, they did last year, and then they said, well, it was unclear whether they needed a no wake zone or they didn't need a no wake zone while they're in practice. But any discussion on having a dragon boat race on the 19th of September 2020?
This is Bill. I would be concerned unless we had an ongoing ability, if things turn bad with regards to the pandemic, that they could be canceled. Are we voting on something that is cast in stone tonight?
I guess we can make a within the motion, we can say, pending that there's no general order or emergency regarding the pandemic.
Mr. Chairman, it's Angela Snell. Can I give some update on this as well?
Sure.
So they would want to do the 2 practice dates, which would be the 17th and the 18th.
Okay.
And they did a ramp closure on Saturday. Last year it was 8 to 4 was the ramp closure. This would also be pending DCR approval because Regatta Point, DCR is not issuing any permits at this time. And all Fishing and Boating Access is not issuing any permits for the boat ramp. So, we can approve it, but they will also need their approval when they start back up again.
Okay, so that said, I guess I'm of a mind to wait till they come back online before we make any decisions for it. Does anyone have a comment on that?
Well, Mr. Chair, Michael Piker, Vice Chair. Anyways, my concerns are these people have to plan on this, and if their plans are held in abeyance, it kind of might torpedo the plan for the dragon boat race. I would say that we might give initial approval for those dates. It's obviously pending upon approval by DCR, as Angela, I think, was just intoning. And if they don't give approval, it can't happen. But in the meantime, I have some concerns that if they need to go about making plans with the vendors who are supplying the boats and or who are going to be doing whatever, selling wares, that we allow for them to make their plans with the understanding of they have to get, final approval from DCR. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Any other comments?
This is Bill. My understanding of the current restrictions for boating by the state that you can't have more than 10 members in a boat and they all have to belong to the same family. So as it currently stands, it's not allowed.
Okay. Well, we don't. Yeah, I guess that's why. To me, and I understand your point, Mr. Piker. But our vote doesn't mean anything if DCR doesn't vote, and the and whatever emergency restrictions aren't lifted. So whatever we say here isn't gonna. If that were me, I wouldn't go just based on well, the Lake Commission said it was okay, so we're going to get all the plans and rent the boats and pay them the money. Because they got to jump through 3 more hurdles after us. So, you know, I think we should, you know, it may be smart just to, you know, push back and say, you know, when everything straightens out, and we'll come back to it. Any other comments, Mr. Nickerson?
No comments.
Captain DeAndre?
Yes, I
You
agree with what
you guys usually win this race. I just want to point that out to you, okay?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I didn't get that.
So your boat usually wins this race.
Yeah. Well, with all the restrictions, especially with the governors and what DCR is going to say, I mean, I would certainly table this until we know a little bit more. That would be my recommendation.
Okay. Miss Amory?
I agree.
Mr. Polito?
No comment. I'm good.
Okay. All right. So let's do that. Angela, we don't have to vote to table something, right? Table.
Yeah, we can just put it on a future agenda.
Okay.
So.
All right. And you know, with no disrespect to the Dragon, I think it's a great thing. So, outside of that, I don't have a problem. Okay, so moving on from an update from Jacqueline Burmeister. Jacqueline, are you still with us? No. Jacqueline?
She has to unmute, Jacqueline.
*6 if it's a phone.
No, there's a white bar at the bottom of the screen that should have your microphone. It like you gotta hover over it. Oh, you're on a phone?
No.
We can see.
You changed?
So it's *6 then.
Hey there.
There you go.
All right.
Okay.
So I have my computer up, but my microphone doesn't work, so I had to do two systems. But hey there, everyone. I'm Jacqueline Burmeister from the City of Worcester Department of Public Works and Parks, the Lakes and Ponds program. And I wanted to check in with all of you about some of the things we have going on in the Lakes and Ponds program. Right before the coronavirus hit really hard and we started closing down things, we did the State of the Lakes presentation in early March at the Blackstone Heritage Quarter Visitor Center. There we did a review of all the water quality data that we collected over 2019 and kind of broke down all the projects that we went through, how they were affecting the lake, not just in Lake Quinsigamond, but in the other programs or the other lakes that are part of the program. But there is a lot of information there in that presentation about Lake Quinsigamond. And one thing that I was going to ask is if in the future you wanted me to give a shortened presentation to the commission just on Lake Quinsigamond on that data from 2019, I'd be able to do that. Since March, we have begun the sampling program for 2020, and we have begun moving forward with some of the projects that we had started or were planning to start in 2020. So I wanted to just bring you up to date with what's going on more currently. But if in the future you want to have that presentation, I usually give them to the other watershed associations as well, just to if someone didn't get a chance to go to the State of the Lakes or was interested in having some an opportunity to ask more in-depth questions. Yeah, if at a future meeting you would like me to present that, I'm happy to. However, for now, I could just jump into what's going on. Can I share? Am I capable of sharing my screen?
You should be able to.
Okay. All right. So I just have, so the Lakes and Ponds program goes out twice a month to Lake Quinsigamond starting in May. We hit about 7 sites around the lake and in the lake itself. We do 5 tributaries and the outlet, as well as 2 in-site locations. I have several of those sites here on the slide, along with some information that we've collected from our very first sampling day. Well, actually, it's a pair of dates, May 12th and May 13th. It was still a little bit chilly in the beginning of the month, about 8 degrees Celsius on both days. It was sunny, but also very windy. At the beginning of the month, the temperature at the surface of the lake was still only about 52, 53 degrees. So still fairly cold. I actually went out again today, and I have more up-to-date data. The lake has warmed up really quickly over the course of the month, and it's currently 20.6 degrees at the surface, so quite a bit warmer than even the beginning of the month. With that said, we are still seeing very high levels of oxygen in the water, which is very good for all of the fish and aquatic life, as well as high Secchi transparency. So Secchi transparency is the clarity of the water, and when it's more clear, you get a deeper Secchi depth. So when you could see 15 feet down into the water, you have really clear water, not a lot of organic matter in there that is clouding the view and usually signifies excess nutrients or nutrient pollution that's leading to things like algal blooms. I started taking E. coli bacteria samples in the middle of the lake at the north site. So if you see on the right-hand side of the slide, this is kind of just a schematic of the lake, of the sampling site. This northern in-lake site here had only 3.06 colonies per 100 milliliters. This is a very low bacteria number, so we weren't seeing in the middle of the lake any real fecal bacteria issues. And this, of course, is something that had been a problem previous years at the state parks. And so we started implementing this year some in-lake bacteria sampling to complement the program that we're doing in collaboration with the Lake Commission and the Lake Association. But as far as phosphorus, which is another new contaminant of concern in Lake Quinsigamond, we see in this bottom row, ND means no detection. So we saw no detection of phosphorus in the north or southern in-lake sites. And in our tributaries, we only saw fairly low amounts in Billings Brook, which is here on the Shrewsbury, it's actually right here on the Shrewsbury side, and then a little bit at the Irish Dam. So that's just a little information about where we're at as far as water quality. So things are still looking very good. The water is looking pretty good for recreation right now. One thing that we started doing since the second year of our program is lake profiles, or this is just to measure how the water temperature changes from the surface of the lake to the bottom of the lake. The reason why that's important is that it could affect how much oxygen gets to the bottom of the lake. When you have a really big difference between surface temperature and the bottom temperature, it creates a barrier that oxygen can't cycle down to the bottom of the lake. And that's a concern mostly for fish populations as well as some nutrient cycling, but mostly those fish populations. Generally, early in the season, it's not too much of a problem, but we track it starting in May just to make sure that we can see how it's developing. And so these charts are just the temperature and oxygen levels this year on May 13th, the first sampling date, and last year, the first sampling date for the profile was April 30th of 2019. And you could see the red is the temperature curve, and the top of the graph is the surface of the lake. So you could see the temperature there is about 12 degrees in April, and it's only about 10 degrees this year in May. So the lake is a little bit colder this year at the surface. And as a result of that, we see a more uniform temperature down to the bottom of the lake, and this is causing oxygen levels to be more uniform. So we are not seeing the same kind of stratification as early in the year. And so that's just, that's good news as far as how we expect stratification to develop throughout the summer. There'll be hopefully less stress on our fish populations, especially our cold water fish populations, those rainbow trout. I just want to talk to you a little bit about some of the projects that we have going on in the Lakes and Ponds program. One thing that I mentioned I think it was the last hearing before we went virtual, was a continuous monitoring buoy. This is a really exciting technology that we're hoping to use at Lake Quinsigamond this summer. These are solar-powered radio buoys that collect water quality data continuously and report it back every 15 minutes for 24 hours a day. So this is really useful in Lake Quinsigamond because it's such a hard lake to sample. It's so big and things could change so quickly. Having this buoy in the water sending us data continuously is going to help us really understand a little bit better some of these lake dynamics that are going to help us better develop management strategies, especially in relation to nutrient management, nutrient contaminant management. So this is what they look like. They're about the size of a Frisbee. And it's new technology. It's the first time it's like really affordable for a municipality to be able to purchase something like this for a lake. So Lake Quinsigamond will be the first, the test site. So we'll have one in the northern area of Lake Quinsigamond and one in the southern, and we're hoping to tether them to buoys like this. Probably similar to the ones Peter was describing before. These are going to be in the deeper portions of the water, and so we're just in the process of finalizing the order of this buoy so that we can put that out and then tether. We'll have the company come and help us tether these up because they're even coming out to individual sites to help set that up and make sure everything's going smoothly. So that's going to be really exciting, and as part of our report in the future, I'll be able to update you on all the cool information that we're getting from these buoys. So we're hoping to have those deployed sometime in June. Another project that we have going on is not continuous monitoring buoys, I should say focal point installation. This is a bioretention unit that we're hoping to install near Coal Mine Brook at the base of the East-West Trail there on Lake Ave North on the Worcester side. It's in Concom right now. It was pushed back. The hearing was pushed back due to the large volume of requests going virtual. But yes, we're hoping to have us on the agenda for the next meeting. Basically, what this is, it's like an improved rain garden that's going to take all that runoff that comes off of Lake Ave North and would normally just erode that portion of the road going down into Coal Mine Brook, and we know erosion is a problem there. It would take that water and filter it through this bioretention unit, which has an underground drain on it to increase the capacity of it to filter nutrients and sediments out of the water coming off of the road. And so we're hoping that that's going to increase our ability to, or just decrease nutrient contamination, perhaps even fecal bacteria contamination, but definitely erosion. So we're moving forward with that project, and we're hoping to get it built this summer. And then finally, the last thing I wanted to make you aware of is the Lake Quinsigamond Watershed Association with the City of Worcester, as well as 2 other watershed associations. We have submitted a grant back in December called the Worcester Fisheries History and Improvement Project, which is a project that we're looking to really understand how fisheries are changing across the different water bodies in Worcester, and then especially in Lake Quinsigamond, and figure out what projects we can do to not only improve our relationship with the angler community and the watershed, but also to improve implement water quality projects that are going to improve our fisheries. As part of that, we've developed this angler survey, and basically about what you're catching in different lakes in Worcester, including Lake Quinsigamond. So if you are interested and you are an angler, please take the survey. You can take it at the DPW Lakes and Ponds website, or on the Indian Lake Watershed Association website. Yeah, so that should be open until June 30th, and we really appreciate any feedback that you can give us about what you're catching, what you're seeing, how things have changed over time with the fisheries in Worcester, in not just Lake Quinsigamond, but all of Worcester. Yeah, so that is what I have. Does anyone have any questions?
This is Bill. I have one question. We've heard stories the last several years of small fish trying to go up Coal Mine Brook to spawn in the spring or fall. Will this affect that at all?
The service or the project?
The bioretention pond. Will that affect the small fish traveling up Coal Mine Brook?
Right. So the bioretention unit will be just on land. So we're on the slide now. This is right here is the road, and the water usually just washes right down right into Coal Mine Brook. This is the southern side of Coal Mine Brook. If anything, it's going to improve water quality. So we're going to have less erosion of sediment, less phosphorus, and less bacteria going into the water. So so that's really the only thing that it's affecting. We're not planning on filling in anything. It's going to be completely on land in an effort to improve water quality in that area. So it shouldn't affect it. Yep.
I understand it better now. It's not going to affect the flow of the brook. It's just going to affect the water that comes in off the roads and elsewhere.
Correct. Yep. It's going to be completely on land. And it's going to be right next to the east-west trail. So we're going to have an educational sign there as well, the kind of like a kiosk so people could learn about biofiltration, impervious surface, and its effect on runoff and the nutrient contamination in Lake Quinsigamond.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions?
So, any questions or comments on Jacqueline's presentation?
Mr. Chair, Michael Pike, it sounds great in a relative sense. And that's my comment, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Mr. Polito?
Oh, thank you. Very nice report.
Captain DeAndre?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Mr. Nickerson?
No comments. Thank you for the report.
Ms. Amory?
No comments. I think it's Jackie and her group are doing a great job.
Okay. All right. Captain DeAndre, I just want to point out that this was Roger's favorite part of the meeting. Second favorite part of the meeting. Jacqueline's report.
And so, yeah, I guess one last thing is if you would like, I could put together that a presentation for you, an abridged version of the state of the lakes for next month, if that's something you're all interested in. And that just talks about breaking down all the data that we collected last year and how it's affecting how we are moving forward with projects this year.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see that. That was a great presentation. I was there, so that'd be good. I mean, I'm almost thinking, maybe we should, when we get back together live, we should save that for that thing, because I think it's easy for you and us and to kind of understand it, and we don't have to worry about the text screwing up. So, yeah, I would definitely, I would recommend that the people see that, because it was really good and really helpful. So Oh, as always, Jacqueline, thank you so much.
Yeah, happy to.
All right, next up, Barbara.
Hello, I'm Barbara Kickham of the Lake Quinsigamond Watershed Association, and I'll correct the chairman that Roger Steele's favorite part was mine because I'm always last. That meant the meeting was almost over.
His favorite part was adjournment.
He loves Jackie, but I meant he could go home. So the first item of on my agenda is that we are requesting $1,000 from the commission to support our monitoring grant that we applied for last year to the state. So DEP granted us a $5,000, almost $5,000 grant, and our matching funds was going to be $1,000 from the Lake Association, $1,000 from the commission, and about $3,000 from the city, which would be in the form of not really cash, but Jackie's time plus laboratory fees for half the summer. So the grant only goes through June 30th, and the city of Worcester is going to pick up the water quality monitoring costs July 1st through the middle of September. So the grant is going to cover E. coli testing at 11 locations. We have 3 tributaries on the Shrewsbury side, and we have 3 tributaries on the Worcester side, plus outfalls. And we have our intern, her name is Gia Coleman, and she is on. I'll let her introduce herself in a minute. We were supposed to start May 5th or something, about first week of May, but because of contract issues with the state, we didn't get out there till last week. So our first week was last Tuesday, a second week was this Tuesday, and no one mentioned the sanitary sewer overflow that happened yesterday. We were out there sampling 3 hours before the sanitary sewer overflow at Billings Brook, and our sample was only 7.5 MPNs per 100 ml, so basically nothing was there. We were out before the 10,000 gallon overflow. Apparently there was some rags stuffed in a pipe, or clogged a pipe in off Audubon Drives, a couple of pipes off Audubon Drive, and there was the overflow. So we just missed that, but we'll be out there next week to see if it's dissipated. The first week's sampling also revealed that the worst bacteria was found at Coal Mine Brook of 165. Usually our worst spot was Belmont overflow, the outfall under the Belmont Street Bridge, under the bridge, Burns Bridge. That was only about 56. So that's telling us that the issue there is really when there's runoff. So there's not a lot of dry weather bacteria coming in there. So Jill will give a summary at the end of the summer. I'll turn it over to her well, I guess we need to vote on the money, or if you want to table that for next week. The breakdown, if you want to know the breakdown of the $1,000, it's about $500 for laboratory costs and about $500 for labor. Basically what it comes down to. Are there any questions on that part?
Okay, yeah, thanks, Barbara. I guess, is there any discussion about the $1,000? And I'll pull through everybody. Bill?
My only question is our budget okay for this?
I guess I have to defer to Angela and Ken on that one. Angela, are we?
Yeah, yes, we can support that. We had also last year, we're gonna do a contribution towards one of the other projects, but it wasn't needed. So we should be all set with this.
Okay, perfect. All right. So, Miss Amory, any questions?
I'm all set. I don't have any questions.
Okay. Mr. Polito?
No, but I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second for that?
Second.
All right. Let's we'll go through a roll call vote. Mr. Polito?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Captain DeAndre?
Yes.
Mr. Nickerson?
Yes.
Mr. Pica?
Yes.
Miss Amory?
Yes.
And I vote yes. You got 4 yeses. It's on to Hollywood. Okay.
Can I let Gia introduce herself?
You bet.
Move on. Gia, are you on still?
Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hi, well, my name is Gia Coleman, and I would first like to say thank you for the vote. I'm applauding in my car, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know it's late, but I'm a local Worcesterite from Shrewsbury Street, and I spent many years and days at Sunset Beach and all over the lake, and I truly love the body of water, and I am very appreciative to be working with such a great ensemble of people trying to protect it. I'll keep it very short unless anybody has any questions for me.
Graduate, recent Clark graduate, and she's also a veteran. So and she's very, very excited about working with us. So we're really happy to have her.
Okay, Gia, it was great to meet you. Does anyone have any comments for Gia? All right.
I look forward to meeting all of you, and I hope you all have a great evening.
Same, you too.
Thank you.
All right, so now we come to we have to set the date for the next meeting. So which is what do we have for choices here?
June 24th?
June 24th is the last Wednesday?
Yes.
All right. So that should be good for that. So June 24th is the next meeting. Is there a motion?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just going to say that it's most likely going to be another meeting like this, just so everyone's aware.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
So second.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, Mr. Nelson,
Aye.
Mr. Nickerson,
Aye.
Mr. Polito,
Aye.
Captain DeAndre,
Aye.
Hi.
Miss Amory,
Aye.
and Mr. Collins. Aye. Thank you all. Have a good night.